this kid came up to me and she was like, Miss Maureen, you said a bad word. I'm like, yeah, that's not surprising, but which one? And she's like, you said the D word. And I was like, oh my God, the Rolodex is bad D word. Like in my head, well, which D word did I say? And she said, you said damn. And I said, ah, that's not a bad word. That's something that holds bad water. Have a great damn weekend. I won't see her again. And I have no idea how to run a spiritual center. I mean, that's just the truth, and I'm just going to tell you the truth. And so I look at what everyone else is doing. I'm like, what's Lola doing over there at Bodhi? And I feel like an extension of Bodhi, so I don't mind cheating off of you guys. And beloved community, I'm going to totally take that. And you're going to ask everyone what they need from the spiritual center. I'm robbing that. So I go to my spiritual center and I'm like, hey, you guys, we're going to create a community of loving beloved things. And what do you guys want from your spiritual community? And they're all like, wow, Maureen, that's a really good question. And I'm like, well, I channeled. I think I channeled it. And they start, telling me these things that they want from my community, their community, and I'm like, boom, done, boom, done. I'm like, I'm so capable. I felt so capable from this conversation. And one guy was like, we should have name tags. I'm like, name tags, great idea. There's like 7 of us here, and we should probably make the effort, but name tags, we're going with it. And the next guy's like, we should have, wine and cheese. I'm like, the Catholics do it, I am so with you. They've been drinking wine in church forever. And he's like, because we used to do coffee and cookies in the morning, but now we're in the afternoon, so happy hour, it is for us. And then, so I am fielding these questions, and just before we're about to wrap it up, this kid stands up, and she's like 13, and she's like, for my spiritual community, I would like for you to teach from the Bible. I'm like, yeah, okay, so we're gonna pray out on that, and I'm gonna get back to you about teaching from the Bible. And it's that call to action, and I am backing up. Because you know me, I teach from A Course in Miracles. It's my spiritual backbone. It is what I am, and I can do what it says. And I teach from 12-step. I got that one backwards and forwards, and I can do, of course, science in mind. But the Bible, if I pick up the Bible in my mind, my hands will burn off, I'm a sinner, for sure. And the Bible, in my opinion, had been used to hurt me and a lot of my friends for a long time. But as a Course in Miracles teacher, what I know to be true is that everything's neutral, and that's just a story that I've made up. And if Bodhi's telling everybody that we honor all paths to God, and I'm saying that because I say whatever you guys say, I'm just stealing from you, that I have to really actually honor all paths to God, right? So I'm teaching from the Bible. I know, go figure. The idea of this book is to expand our consciousness. And any story can be used to expand our consciousness. Every good story, like Joseph Campbell teaches us, has that big and ordinary, and then the hero's journey, and then the hero's call to adventure, and then the refusal of the call. And then we have to move through the refusal of the call. And when we move through the refusal of the call, that's where we expand our consciousness. When we move past our comfort zones, and we look to those blind spots where somebody sheds the light, and we go, oh my God, I have to go there? I have to do that? So, in the story, The Wedding at Galilee, Jesus is his first miracle that he performs in a public arena. And him and his mom and his posse, they go to this wedding. They're up for a good time. And so they go to this wedding, and Mary, like any good mom, she's raising Jesus Christ, right? You can imagine she's got her hands full, right? So all she wants is, at this wedding, is a glass of wine, Can you blame her? So she goes to the bar, and she says, can I get a glass of wine? And they say, we're all out. Sorry. And she's like, what? And she utters these words that will go down in millennium for years to come, of every frustrated mother on a Friday night who looks in the refrigerator and finds that somebody's drank all the wine. She says, Jesus, no wine! Right? So she looks at her son and she's like, hey, help a mother out. And Jesus says, this is not my time. He says, woman, get you behind me. This is not my time. So Jesus refuses the call to action. Why does he refuse the call to action? For the same reason that we refuse the call to action. 2 reasons. This is the only 2 reasons that will ever keep you small. One of them is you're saying, I'm not worthy of this. And the other one is saying, I'm not ready for this. Right? So if Jesus were saying, I'm not worthy of this, he could probably be saying to his mom, like, Mom, I am Jesus Christ. I raised the dead, for God's sakes. I'm not going to do your party tricks of turning water into wine. Like, this is beneath me. Get behind me. This is not my stuff. Right? So that's us. Or even the other version is, I'm too good for this, or I'm not ready for this, where Jesus is saying, Mom, I just want to hang out with my friends out there. I'm not ready. I don't even think I can do it, okay? So this is us. This is who we are in our own call to the advance. What I think is interesting about the story is God didn't have Jesus create or extend his first miracle in the back alley of some quiet, intimate room. He had him do it in community, where he could be witnessed by his friends and his family, where he couldn't back down any further. In community is where the best stuff happens. So Mary will not be refused her vino this evening. So she goes over to the bar, even though her son had said no, and she says, excuse me, you see that guy over there? Yeah, see him? Do whatever he says. And now Jesus is there trying to hide, and his friends, I'm making part of this up because I wasn't actually there. So he steps in, and he's like, okay, the reluctant hero steps in, and he says, okay, take the water, put it into the jugs, and pour a little out, and he blesses them, and the head waiter drinks it, and he says, this is awesome wine. You saved the best for last. Of course, it's wine made by faith to God, right? So this is the story to encourage us to move past our own discomfort, right? And I know that place within you and that place within me that just wants to play it small. I want to share with you a personal story was that when I first started acting, I did this film with Sandra Bullock, and she and I were driving in a cab one time, and we were doing this non-union film. We're both newbies in this industry, non-union, and she was awesome, and she said to me, I'm going to be a name actress. And I was like, good for you, Sandra. But my real thought was, wouldn't you be lucky just to work? Like, shouldn't you just, wouldn't that be awesome if we could just work, And, you get what you settle for, right? You get what you settle for. And we both got exactly what we were willing to settle for. I got this blue-collar career, and my consciousness was big enough to hold that, and I was comfortable in that, and I got to do what I wanted to do, but not any further than what I was able to receive. So I go through my career, and 20 years, awesome. Working here, working there, great people, it's awesome, but it's within my comfort zone. And I get towards the end of it when I'm ready to transition into something new, and I'm in acting career, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So I started to pray this prayer of Jabez, next slide. And the prayer basically goes, Lord, that you will bless me indeed, that you will expand my territory, that your hand will be with me, that you will keep me from fear, that I will not cause pain. And it's saying that, Lord, that you will bless me indeed and expand my consciousness, that you will keep me from my own fear, so that I will not mess this thing up that you want me to do. So I'm doing this prayer, and within the week, my sister calls, and she said, hey, I got a gig for you down in Texas. You're going to come down here, and you're going to do a motivational talk for 800 high school students and their teachers. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you got the wrong number, lady. I am an actress. I'm not a motivational speaker. And I start to remember that I was actually praying for a transition, and I had no right to say no to this. So I said, okay, I guess I'll come down and do a motivational speech to these 800 high school students and their teachers. And all I'm really thinking is, like, that's a hell of a lot of spitballs and bad tomatoes from that. The weeks leading up, she keeps calling me, and she's like, you know what, Maureen, I'm sorry, it wasn't actually 800, it's like 1,000, and then it's like 2,000, and then it's like 4,000. And each time I'm like, whoa, it's like this runway training, but I can't get off because I've already said yes. And then right before I leave for it, she's like, it's actually 7,000 high school students and their teachers. I know, right? Even when I'm saying that, like, I start to sweat again, and I know I don't have to do it, but... So I'm like, oh my God, I go to my speech together, and I go off, and my sister, she dazzles me with the trinket. She's like, they're going to fly you first class, and they're going to give you $2,000, and, you're going to be put up for... I'm like, okay, I'll go, yeah. But I'm totally blocking out this idea that I actually have to deliver to 7,000 high school students and their teachers. So we get down there, and we go sit in this beautiful hotel, and we press the button, the window opens, this huge, and I'm like, wow, this is great. The guy calls, and he says, come on down for the sound check. And I'm like, no problem, I'm sure I'll do that. And so we go down, and my sister says, we have to go to the stadium. I'm like, the stadium? This sounds horribly large. So we go to the stadium, and we walk in and meet the guy. He's like, hey, you're Maureen Muldoon. I'm like, hey, like, you're going to do the motivational speech. I'm like, I'm totally motivated to do that speech today. And we're walking through this thing, and we're walking, and it's huge. He's talking at me, there's this and that, and I'm like, great, and I'm not listening to anything he's saying, so all I'm thinking is, this place is horribly large. And finally, that comes out of my mouth, I go, this place is really big, and he's like, yeah, it's 2 football fields large. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's only a little bit larger than my last talk. Is it really such a lie? My last talk was in my bathroom in front of my mirror to an audience of 1. So I step out there, and it is so odd and so surreal, and I just start talking and something talks to me, and before I know it, people are laughing and there's like a delay on the laughter, so I'm kind of confused, but it's all kind of working together, and I can see my sister in the front row. She's really all I can see because it's so black. And I get done and I promptly walk off stage, thank you, and I get out there and I say goodbye, and I stand backstage with this little PA guy, and he's hearing the applause, and he's looking at us like, they're really liking you out there. And I'm like, yeah, but I make a promise to myself, I'm never going back out there again. And he says, you should go back out there for your standing ovation later. And I said, no, I think I'm good. I'm kind of done with that, and you should sign these autographs afterwards. I'm like, I'll sign the autographs because I agreed to it, but this is just a joke, and I'm not doing this, and God made a huge mistake. And I tell my sister, don't ever do that to me again. This is not for me to do. Get you behind me. This is not my time. So I travel from California to Chicago. I have left this career that I've known and has known me, and I've moved into the abyss, and God says, this is for you to do, and I say no to that, so I have no idea what I'm doing in Chicago. And so I say, I guess I'll just work with the kids. Not just work with the kids, but yeah, I guess I'll just work with the kids. And I go down in the basement. I mean, talk about going underground to who you're here. Like, Reverend Mark would come down every once in a while and he'd say, hey, what's your big dream? I'm like, I did it already in California. I'm done with big dreams. I'm good to go. You know, that we meet mentors around who are Bodhi, and people shake us up and they wake us up, and we go to workshops and I go to classes, and suddenly I remember, oh my God, maybe I'm supposed to do something that I really don't want to do because I'm scared to death of it. And so I had this experience, this major service. Evan Gaines was a holy game changer for me. I went to see her talk, and she came out on stage, and she was like, I am a powerful spiritual woman. And I was like, what is that? It's like I don't even recognize it because my whole life I've been Catholic priest, and then even in Science of Mind, I had, you know, the masculine presence. It was Reverend Beckwith, and then it was Reverend Mark Vieira, and then Reverend Anthony Lord, and I didn't know that that was possible. And I had this other visceral experience where I was like, what is going on? What is she doing? And how dare she? And wow, that's awesome. And I went to her workshop afterwards, and I was like speechless. Like, I have seen every star in the world, and I was totally starstruck by her. And I kind of like actually knelt by her knee, and I was like, thanks. Oh my God, you did. You showed me something I didn't think was possible. And I think,
yeah.
And she was like, what are you saying, honey? I'm like, I think I want to do what you're doing. And she was like, well, you better get started. Two things, actually. I wanted to give you a little bit of homework for next week because I'm coming back. That's a warning. I'm coming back, and the two bits of homework are, I want you to find your own little Mary in your life. That woman, that man that has your back, that knows you, that knows your blind spots, that sees the highest potential of you, that sees the things that you don't even know you can do. My sister Mary saw me in a state of being that I wasn't able to receive. Mary saw Jesus in this way as well. And all the time you want to go like, no, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And get that woman to push you off the cliff. Ask her what you are. Ask him what he sees in you. Ask them for your strong cards. You're a community. You have an opportunity to do this. You can go to a practitioner. You can go to your best friend. You can go to your favorite aunt and say, what do you see in me? I need to know because I don't want to live with these blind spots anymore. So that's one part of your homework. The other part of your homework is to watch, saying yes with Maureen Muldoon. I made it a couple years ago, but it's the content of it. Because I'm going to be giving this talk next week about how to actually know your gifts, how to value them, and how to offer them. I'm going to be giving a workshop after service next week, and I want to generate the conversation through this YouTube video. Those are the two bits of homework. But before I leave, I want to tell you one last little thing. Before I left California and I came to Chicago, my husband and I drove through the Redwood Forest. These trees are the tallest living thing on earth. They're 300 feet high. And they're 2,500 years old. They're older than Jesus Christ. Over there, and this, little guy who's giving us the story, he's like, they're 300 feet high. The roots are only 5 or 6 feet deep for 300 feet high trees. So I say to him, how is that possible? And he says, on the redwood trees, in these huge communities of these powerful trees, their roots intertwine. And they create a net for each other, so they're only as vital as each of the individual trees. That's what's going on here, folks. You are each a redwood tree, but you're only as strong as your community. So today, from this moment on, we're each going to commit to move moving through our limited thoughts and expanding our consciousness so that we can truly be of service of who we're here to be today. And that is how we earn our wings. Are you with me?
Yeah.